Highly regarded by many as the absolute best tag team in the entire world right now, there are those out there wondering why exactly isn't FTR riding the top of AEW's tag team mountain. Now, even though they have held tag gold for All Elite Wrestling before, and they're definitely not shy of any accomplishments right now, they still don't feel like the most celebrated team in All Elite Wrestling, which has left many fans to wonder whatever happened to the former Revival. And so, without further ado, here are 7 reasons why AEW might not be pushing FTR. Bucking the trend. While this is not something that we can 100% confirm, there are those out there who have speculated that one of the major reasons why FTR hasn't excelled in AEW is because of, well, the EVPs, as in the Young Bucks. The hypothesis works like this. Supposedly, the Young Bucks are jealous of FTR and the attention they get as being the best tag team in the world. And so, using their executive vice president status, they're making sure that FTR never gets too big and stays out of the complete spotlight for the tag division. Now again, this isn't something we can 100% confirm, as this is just pure speculation on many people's part. And let's not forget that FTR does have one win over the Young Bucks, and they have also already won the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And also, in terms of their EVP status, well, that brings us to the next entry. The other best in the world. While the Young Bucks, as of this recording, are currently suspended from AEW and their EVP status going forward is still yet to be determined, let's not forget about why this is, as of course I'm talking about a certain backstage brawl with one CM Punk. Now, it's been reported numerous times that FTR get along quite well with Punk. However, now that he's found himself in hot water, not to mention all of the events that led up to the issues at All Out, being closely associated with the former AEW World Champion might not be the best in a locker room that seems to be pretty divided on the issue of Punk and has been allegedly for a while. So regardless of which side of the line you stand on, just remember when it comes to booking pro wrestling, sometimes it can be a bit cliquish, which might be beneficial to some, but it'll come at the expense of many others. Acclaimed co-workers. Then again, all this might have nothing to do with the Bucks at all, but rather other tag teams instead, like the current AEW Tag Team Champions, the Acclaimed, who of course absolutely deserve to be the tag team champions right now, as they are tremendously over. But they're not the only ones who are worthy, with other tag teams such as Private Party, the Gun Club, and the Best Friends all being long overdue for a taste of tag team gold. And also remember other groups that did win it but just way too late, such as Jurassic Express. And don't even get me started on tag teams that AEW missed the boat on, like Jack Evans and Angelico. When it comes to striking while the iron is hot, AEW has failed miserably in their tag division, and so management might just be playing a game of catch-up rather than trying to give the belts back to a tag team that they've already crowned before. But that leads us to Tony Khan. While we're talking about AEW management, let's remember that the whole thing is spearheaded by one Tony Khan, who is still a relative newcomer to the industry. Now, despite being named Booker of the Year, let's remember that nobody is perfect. And when it comes to booking the tag division, it's easy to see why Tony Khan is not. While AEW has featured a lot of tag team wrestling, as well as having some really exciting and awesome tag team matches, that's not necessarily the same as knowing how to book an entire tag team division, as storylines, promotion, and making the tag team titles really feel like a big deal are all part of the package that go beyond simply just having matches, no matter how good they may be. But the drawback to having such great tag team wrestling is that the audience has learned to care about many different tag teams, and you can't push all of them at once. And so the whole thing becomes a juggling act, one that requires a lot of experience to handle properly. And while Tony Khan may not be up for handling that, there was someone else who could have, if only he was still there. The other royal family. The former Revival will admit that they owe a lot of their greatness to the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, with Cash Wheeler's old name of Dash Wilder being a direct reference to the American Dream's own son, the dashing Cody Rhodes, who himself not only used to be an All Elite but was also an EVP as well. Now perhaps if he had stuck around, the American Nightmare might have just been a dream come true for FTR, at least as far as management is concerned, considering the Rhodes family propensity for knowing how to book tag team wrestling. And sure, Dustin's still there, but he's not exactly an AEW shot caller now, is he? And so the problem might not be the opposition that's in management, but rather the lack of a friend there instead. Bathed in gold. As mentioned earlier, we have to remember that even though FTR may not be the AEW Tag Champions right now, that doesn't mean that they don't still have a ton of gold, because they definitely do, with the team currently holding the tag strats for Ring of Honor, AAA, and New Japan, all simultaneously. And so, while they may not be holding AEW's top tag prize, they have more than made up for it, and there's a chance that AEW might simply look at this as recompense for not giving them the AEW tag titles at this very moment, even if some fans still feel like it isn't enough. And so, instead of looking at this as their path to becoming the belt collectors, this might actually be their ceiling instead. Cornhold. In terms of people who feel like FTR, no matter how good they're treated in AEW, still aren't treated good enough, well, we have to talk about the potential president of that group, Jim Cornette, who is yet another person that FTR is closely affiliated with that isn't exactly popular with everybody backstage in All Elite Wrestling. Cornette has been very vocal about his love for the team, and they have also appeared as guests on his podcast. The catch is, Cornette has made a lot of enemies with people backstage. Now sure, this does double back to the first reason that we talked about, as you have to remember that wrestling can be very political even though it probably shouldn't be. But that doesn't change that sometimes when it comes to wrestling booking, you can be guilty by association. Hopefully FTR can turn it all around, which really shouldn't be all that hard for them to do since they're just one rung below the absolute top spot in All Elite Wrestling. Now sure, for their biggest fans, that one notch might feel like the biggest hill to climb, but we have to keep in mind they are being pushed, just not to the very top, even if they do feel like they're stuck in a rut right now with no clear direction. And it's not like going back to WWE would solve anything since the Usos seem to have the tag belts on lock. The point is, one quick creative jolt might be all it takes to get FTR to become the kings of the AEW tag division like they were always meant to be. Or in other words, what I'm really trying to say is that it doesn't take much for these two mechanics to get a revival. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit the like button and make sure that you're subscribed as a member of the Know It All Nation. Thanks again for watching, and as always, Dave knows.